What's going on, gamers? Chris here with Telesplash Gaming, and I may have just witnessed my first Christmas miracle of the season. My AtGames Legends Ultimate Arcade just showed up out of the blue. Yeah, I ordered it, but I was told it wasn't going to ship till the end of December, and I wouldn't even see it till after the first of the year. And it just showed up last weekend. So, put it together, checked it out, been putting some time into it, haven't modded it, but I want to let you guys know what I think of it, my first impressions, and whether I think it's worth $600 of your hard-earned cash. So here we go, standing right next to the AtGames Ultimate Arcade. The first thing you're going to notice is if you're comparing it to the Arcade 1-Ups, which this is not meant to be a comparison video, it is quite a bit larger. Now with that being said, the only reason that you're going to hear lots of comparisons with the Arcade 1-Up is because it's the only other arcade that's been out recently that we can compare it to. And I love my Arcade 1-Ups, but this is definitely in a league of its own. So with that being said, you can see right away, it's got a nice lit marquee. It's got a lot of Disney games on it. And we'll get to the games list in a second, but the actual art and stuff isn't necessarily my favorite. I mean, it's got the Darth Vader, which I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but it's definitely a Disney-based cabinet in terms of its design and its look. So if you don't love the art, I'm sure there's ways to fix that. For me personally, it doesn't bother me, not my favorite, but it's nice. I do love the quality, I love the silver pinstriping here, and what's more important is I love the ease of putting it together. When this came in, I was expecting a good hour to put it together. Absolutely not. It already had these metal brackets already set up within each board that all you had to do was line up some numbers, put a screw through the metal bracket, which makes it really nice if you want to take it apart because you're not going to be ripping out your screw through wood. You won't be stripping it out. So it's really nice that it goes metal screw to metal bracket, which is awesome. The actual control panel here was already put together, so all you do is build the base, and then you grab the top with the monitor already done. It's already pre-assembled, the monitor and the entire top portion. You set it down, put a couple screws in, and you are done. It is literally a 15-minute from opening the box to getting it fully together and turning it on. Really cool. So getting into the control panel itself, let's get into what's really important, the quality. That was the first thing that I noticed with this, was the quality of the buttons and stuff were so much better than what I was expecting. AtGames is typically not known for their high quality. They're known for being kind of budget friendly, but this cabinet for what it is really, really good. Got your joystick here, got your spinners that feel great, freely spinning, got your trackball. Even though your trackball doesn't necessarily spin super easy, it still has a nice little spin to it. But the biggest thing for me are the buttons. Now, these aren't going to be your high quality buttons that you're going to get from like a Sanwa or Hap or anything like that, but the nice thing is that they actually feel really good. They have good resistance. They kind of remind me of my X arcade machine in terms of how the buttons feel. Again, the Arcade 1-Up is a great little system and I love them, but the buttons are so hollow compared to these. You'll see we got a rewind button for your games. You can rewind, a menu button that gets you to your menu, and then your two-player start button. Over here you have a power button, and you have your volume control here up and down so you can control it slowly. And then the other thing that's really cool that makes this really unique is it has HDMI and USB. It's got two of each. You can use external HDMI, and you can plug in a console. You can plug in anything with an HDMI input. You can put Raspberry Pis work on here. So this makes it really cool. So it's actually turning this into a full-on monitor for a different system or anything that takes HDMI. So that makes it really neat. And then here's your button to actually switch your inputs. So overall, the panel itself feels really, really good. The buttons, all the joysticks, the spinners, everything feels pretty high quality. I wouldn't say it's the top of the line, the best, but for what it is, it's really good. And again, this is a $600 Walmart AtGames Arcade. The other version is a Sam's Club for $500. I don't have a Sam's Club around or a membership to it, and there's a few minor differences, but for the most part, very similar. For $600, you are basically paying for two Arcade 1-Ups, but you are getting a much higher quality product in terms of what you're getting in terms of material and the buttons. You get the spinners, the trackball, the HDMI input, so it's a really good bang for your buck for $600. But let's get into the actual games and talk about why I myself picked this thing up. So unfortunately, I don't have an HDMI splitter right now set up for this to actually be able to record just the screen. So I'm just gonna give you a quick overview of what we have. Originally, what you have right now is you have 350 games that are really a mixture of console games. There's not a ton of arcade games on here. The 350 games they have are okay. Games like Aladdin, 8 Eyes, 3D Tic-Tac-Toe. I mean, games that I wouldn't typically play a ton of. They are fun, but the selling point for me is the option to log in to bring your own game, BYOG, or you can actually add your own emulators and ROMs to it. Now there's channels like Retro Ralph, Cool Toy, P-Dubs Arcade Loft, ETA Prime. They actually tell you how to do that and can walk you through that if you have this arcade. But for me, that's the selling point, is I'm able to bring in other arcade games that I want to play on this system. And that makes it really, really cool. The other thing that makes it really neat is when it says BYOG, if you notice here, there's Steam, there's Origin, there's Blizzard, Epic Games, GOG.com, and Ubisoft. What this allows you to do is it allows you to actually play one of your games on your Steam library on your computer. You can hook it up to the arcade and actually play it on your own local network. The reason that I thought that was awesome is I saw Cool Toy playing Mortal Kombat 11 on this arcade off of the Steam library. And I don't think he was playing on his own network. He was playing from the Arcade Net, which is AtGames' own kind of arcade system that you can log into, and you can play the games and you can download them from Steam onto their server. You have 250 gigs, I believe, and it lets you play those games that way. But for me, I can have my computer on and I can play games on my arcade from my computer's Steam library, which is incredible. So think about this. Nobody has a Mortal Kombat 11 arcade, but I can basically turn this into a modern fighting game system because of the Steam library that I can play games, download them, stream them right here in my local network, and the latency, if you're doing local, is really, really low. So there's some really cool options for that. And there you have it in terms of the BYOG and the selling point for me. If this was a chintzy, cheaply made machine that had bad buttons and didn't really have response and it wasn't very good, then it wouldn't be worth it. But I think it's pretty cool that you can bring your own games and you can do it on a flash drive, you can do it through Steam, and it really makes it so unique. And this thing has only been out for a couple months now, and AtGames has already done so many firmware updates to make everybody's experience even better. So I think that's the coolest part about this so far for me, is that even though I've got it within a couple months of release, it is nothing like it was originally. One other thing that's kind of cool that I didn't talk about is with the USB, and I believe it has a Bluetooth, is you can hook up PS4 controllers, Xbox controllers, and I believe it actually gives you 4-player support, which is really cool. So you can get some of those Simpsons, Turtles, X-Men ROMs, put a couple controllers in here, and all of a sudden you're playing 4-player, 2 people on the actual cabinet and 2 people with the controllers. So that again is one thing that AtGames did that most people didn't even probably realize didn't exist when it first got released. So the firmware updates have been really actually like life-changing for the actual arcade cabinet itself, and I'm excited to see what these betas turn into when they're done and what the final product's like. So I think what it comes down to with this is it worth $600 to you? To me, it is. I actually really think for the way that I'm going to use this machine with the Steam library and bringing your own games, that's the selling point to me. Personally, the 350 games they have built into it, not that excited. The Arcade Net, I'm not that excited about, but being able to bring whatever games I want to play are awesome. As you can see, I got a few arcades behind me from Arcade 1UP and my own personal main machine I'm working on right now, but this has a perfectly good place in my arcade room, and that's why I picked it up. So there you have it, the AtGames Legends Ultimate Arcade. Pretty sweet arcade for what you're getting. You are literally paying $600 for a feature-packed, fully done arcade cabinet. I know you can do some customization of your own, throw in your own buttons, joysticks, vinyls, but if you're not into that, if you just want to buy an all-in-one arcade that you have a chance to mod and has a ton of really cool features, this is the way to go. It really is one of the coolest arcade cabinets I've ever seen, and what makes it the best is that AtGames has been listening to people like Cool Toy, Retro Ralph, ETA Prime. They are listening to these channels that are doing these reviews, and they're actually implementing things that they're saying. So that's what makes AtGames a little bit more unique, is they're really listening to their customer service. What do you guys think of this arcade? Is it something you'd be interested in? Let me know in the comments down below. Keep trolling, keep rolling. We'll talk to you later.